Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there is a ton of news stories to get into today, so let's talk about AEW. Of course, no AEW last night. No AEW Dynamite on Wednesday this week on TNT. Of course, that's because of the baseball. So we're getting Rampage on Friday and then a special Saturday edition of Dynamite from Miami, which is going to be very exciting as well. A lot of big things announced for that show. But I do want to talk about AEW because, of course, they have been in the headlines quite a lot. Specifically, Tony Khan has been in the headlines quite a bit, talking about Rampage going head-to-head with SmackDown, definitely going head-to-head with SmackDown on Friday. Of course, you've got the Supersized episode of SmackDown, that's what they're calling it. So, Tony Khan's been talking a lot. He's been doing a lot of media, and he's been talking about WWE, he's been talking about AEW, he's been talking about SmackDown, he's been talking about Raw, and as always, and I spoke about this before, every single time that Tony Khan talks about WWE, people get really angry. People get really upset. How dare he talk about WWE? How dare he talk positively about his own product? So we'll get into it. Because there's quite a few things to talk about when it comes to Tony Khan. So first of all, Tony Khan has shared his opinion on Monday Night Raw. And as I mentioned, of course, Dynamite is going to be on Saturday this week from Miami due to the NHL season, I think this time, is it? It's the NHL, but they get preempted because of the NBA, the NHL, the baseball, all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about what Tony Khan said, because he was on Barstool Sports' podcast with Robbie Fox, and he was asked to talk about WWE. So he said, he was talking about Rampage and the viewership maybe not being as high as maybe they would like, but a difficult time slot, etc. He said when it comes to Friday, when it comes to Rampage and it comes to the SmackDown viewership, he said, look, it doesn't really matter when it comes to the viewership because the viewership will be what it is, but I can guarantee you Friday we will put out a better product than WWE does. This is what he had to say when it comes to all of this. And these are the comments that got a lot of people talking when he talks about Monday Night Raw. He said, quote, "We'll see what happens. I'm not saying for sure we'll win, and maybe the odds are against us in some ways, but we're going to give a better show. I know. If you don't believe me, watch the go-home show they did last night because it sucked," referring to Monday Night Raw on Monday night. Now, Fox, the host, jokingly encouraged Tony Khan to talk his SHIT, to which the AEW president doubled down on his dissatisfaction with Monday's Raw. He said, "Am I? Did you watch it?" So basically, he's saying Raw sucks. Raw sucks. And again, this got people upset that he would say such a thing about WWE and Monday Night Raw. My question to you would be, if you think Tony Khan is out of line or you think Tony Khan is wrong for what he's saying about WWE, specifically Monday Night Raw, do you disagree with him? Is he not telling the truth? Raw on Monday, objectively, it sucked. Most Monday nights, Raw sucks. There are a variety of reasons for that. There is that it's a 3-hour product. There is the fact that you've got this ginormous creative team that is designed by Committee Pro Wrestling. It's way overproduced. It's dull. It's ideas we've seen over and over again. Essentially, in Vince McMahon, you've got the same showrunner since the 1980s, and the storytelling looks like that. It's a boring show. It is a boring show to watch. And again, people will say, the counter-argument to this will be, and we get this all the time when Tony Khan talks about WWE, focus on your own show. Why are you taking so many pot shots at WWE? Why are you commenting on what WWE's doing? Focus on your own show. They live rent-free in your head, all this kind of stuff. My response to that would be, look, I'm with you. Every time anyone, whether it's WWE or AEW, takes pot shots at each other, I kind of roll my eyes. It is what it is. But in any other form of entertainment, whether it's, whatever it may be, or sport, what do the teams and clubs and coaches not talk about other coaches? Of course they do. And people love the drama. People can get so upset about it, but they love it in any other form of sport. You get over here in football, in the Premier League, you get managers talking crap about the other managers. Of course you do. You get it in forms of entertainment, stand-ups, talk about other stand-ups or whatever it may be. Shows say this is a better show than this show. It's life. That's what it is. And again, he's not lying. Is he lying when he said Raw sucks? No, he's not. And I'm not going to criticize someone for saying, I think my product is better than the competition's product, or I think my product's better than the product in the marketplace that I operate in. The same with McDonald's, right? You think McDonald's, they're going to say, we do better burgers than Burger King. It's up for you, the audience, to decide if they're being accurate or not. In my opinion, I'm 99% certain that Saturday's edition of Dynamite will probably be a better episode of Monday Night Raw than Monday Night Raw this past week. Because, and again, that's my opinion. You don't have to disagree or agree with me there. WWE has their fans, AEW has their fans, but I don't know. It gets people talking, and maybe that's what he's trying to do. He's promoting. He's a promoter at the end of the day, and he's trying to promote his show on Friday. That's going to have strong competition in SmackDown because they're going over half an hour, and on top of that, he's trying to promote his show on Saturday because his flagship show, which would usually be on Wednesday, isn't on Wednesday this week. It's been moved to Saturday. So he wants to ensure that people watch the show. So he's got to talk. He's going to talk some shit and hope people listen. And then they'll go, why is he talking so much stuff at the moment? Oh, that's right, because Rampage is on Friday and Dynamite's on Saturday. That's promotion. That's PR at the end of the day. So it is what it is. Talking about Friday, though, and Rampage, of course, Rampage is going to be going head-to-head with SmackDown for half an hour. At least we thought. But now it's going head-to-head with SmackDown for a little bit longer, but just on a different medium. Because AEW President Tony Khan, during his promotional tour, announced on the Moose and Maggie show in New York City that there would be a live buy-in for Rampage this Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on AEW's YouTube channel, head-to-head with SmackDown ahead of Rampage, which of course starts at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT. So SmackDown, of course, goes from 8 to 10. Or from this week, 8 to 10:30, whereas technically now, with this buy-in, Rampage goes from 9 to 11. So we're getting more of an overlap. We'll certainly get more of an overlap, and we'll get into the featured matches, but it's certainly funny is that SmackDown, WWE, if you don't think they counter-programmed AEW, you're laughing. That's just not the case. Absolutely, WWE counter-programmed AEW when they added that extra half hour onto SmackDown on Friday. They just did. They thought, you know what? Even though they're not competition, let's have a swipe at AEW, right? Let's just assert our dominance, right? There's been lots of positive media coverage, if you will, and lots of positivity surrounding AEW. Let's remind them who we are. Let's remind everyone who WWE is, and let's beat them on Friday, even though we're on FS1, and just take them down a peg or two. And in fairness, Tony Khan, in response to being counter-programmed, has said, you know what? I'm going to counter-program WWE. I'm going to put a buy-in on YouTube. Now, realistically, is the buy-in on YouTube going to make a dent into SmackDown on FS1? I doubt it, because you can do both at the same time, and they're not mutually exclusive. If you're watching the television here, you can still have your tablet going, or you can still have your phone going, or your computer, whatever it may be going, and watching the buy-in at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive. Of course, some people will decide to do one or the other. Do I think it's going to make much of a dent into SmackDown on FS1 on Friday? Probably not. But the exciting thing about this buy-in is that we got a major match announced for it, and that is that we're going to see Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki. That is a match. That is a proper match. Now, of course, this is the AEW star Danielson going up against the New Japan star Minoru Suzuki. Now, this isn't the first time they've ever faced off. The two previously had met in singles competition one time previously, all the way back in 2004. Now, obviously, Minoru Suzuki and Bryan Danielson are completely different to where they were, or their capabilities in 2004. It's an exciting match. What I will say about it, though, when I mentioned about taking viewers away from SmackDown, because make no mistake, in the same way that WWE counter-programmed AEW on Friday, AEW, like I said, have counter-programmed back. And I've seen some really bad takes on social media with people saying, oh, as if Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki is going to do anything, as if Daniel Bryan versus a New Japan star is going to do anything. When they announced this match, when Tony Khan announced this match on social media, Minoru Suzuki trended. People are excited. People want to see this one. It's an exciting match. This is the real importance of this New Japan deal that they have, AEW, is that they can do these matches like that, and it's a big match. People want to see it. I want to see this match. They're going to beat the hell out of each other. And I do find it somewhat amusing, those WWE fans that pretend that Bryan Danielson isn't anything anymore. Bryan Danielson, it doesn't matter. Who's Bryan Danielson anyway? Whereas just a few months ago, they were like, Daniel Bryan, I hope he comes back. He main event of WrestleMania this year. Make no mistake, Bryan Danielson's a big signing. And I just find it humorous. Those people are like, oh, it doesn't mean anything. So Bryan Danielson, Minoru Suzuki, it's a big statement. It's a big statement by AEW, not only to book the match, but on top of that, to put it on not even just free television. Like, it's just free on the internet. I'm fascinated to see what numbers it does on YouTube. Because, of course, immediately, this is the great thing with YouTube and the internet as well. We don't have to wait until the ratings come out for Rampage or Supersized SmackDown on Friday. We can pretty much see immediately, somewhat, maybe give it a few hours, but we can see pretty much immediately how many people are tuning in to see this match. So that's going to be interesting to see as well. And look, again, is it really going to do a massive dent into SmackDown on Friday? Probably not. Probably not. But in reality, I think it's Tony Khan just putting a middle finger up to WWE, being like, I can counter program back, by the way, and I'm not going to be a pushover of you trying to just, bully us because you can on Friday. So I think it's interesting. I really do think it's interesting. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. And I'm interested. I am interested. Of course, I'm fascinated, and I'm really excited to see the match as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see. Tony Khan also mentioned, and this is important to state as well, during this appearance on the Moose and Maggie show on WFAN, he mentioned that this weekend, the Rampage on Friday and the Supersized SmackDown, he said it's not really about competing. It's about putting on a great product. And I think that's important as well. He said, quote, it's a big weekend for us because we need to make a statement. We were doing such great numbers on Wednesday, so it's bad timing to have Dynamite move to the weekend. But we built this great thing in Rampage, and we have Friday Night Rampage on TNT at 10, and we have Saturday Night Dynamite on TNT at 8. Right now, we have all this momentum. The number one show on all of cable and satellite TV, 6 straight Wednesdays. It's bad timing for us to be moving off Wednesdays when you're in such a great recent run, but this weekend's huge for us. And the shows have been so good. It's not about competing with them. It's about doing our best show. And I think that's important as well. Obviously, people will say, well, if it's not about competing, why did you say and why did you do that tweet going, I can't wait to beat you? I think he regrets that. Because I mentioned at the time, I think that SmackDown will do better numbers than Rampage, certainly, and possibly even Dynamite as well, to be honest with you. I think Dynamite will do lesser numbers than SmackDown, because SmackDown, when they've been moved to FS1 the last couple of years, they do around 800,000, close to 900,000. Rampage ain't doing that. That's just not going to happen. Dynamite on Saturday, who knows? It depends, I think, but I would still say that SmackDown's probably going to do better numbers. And Tony Khan's tweets that he did when he goes, I can't wait to beat your number one show or your A show, whatever he said, I do think that will age poorly. And if you've listened to some of the comments he's made since, he has kind of walked it back, because I think he realizes we're probably not going to win that battle. That's one maybe too far. But ultimately, what is important, he's right, is that the ratings can say one thing, but if you're coming out of this weekend and you go, yeah, SmackDown drew more people, or drew more viewership rather, had a better rating, whatever. If Dynamite comes out this weekend going, yeah, but Dynamite was far better, the better show rather, in terms of watching, and the audience was far more into it and the crowd was better, that's a win for them nevertheless. And I think he's trying to maybe, play down what he said before. But it's interesting. It's built up a lot of conversation, certainly, hasn't it? Speaking of Tony Khan, he's revealed the main event for Full Gear. It's finally been confirmed. As I mentioned, he's been talking a lot recently. And he has confirmed that we are going to get Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship at Full Gear. Obviously, last year, at Full Gear, we had the World Title Eliminator Tournament, the brackets of which are going to be revealed this weekend. But in the finals of that tournament, it was Omega versus Page. Omega defeated Page. That allowed him the opportunity to capture the AEW World Championship against Jon Moxley at the Winter is Coming edition of Dynamite. So, fast forward 12 months later, and we're getting Page versus Omega again, but this time for the AEW World Championship. Talk about long-term storytelling. That's pretty great. As I mentioned, Hangman Page last week made his triumphant return to AEW programming, won the Casino ladder match, and Khan has confirmed that will be the main event for Full Gear. He said, quote, last year it culminated in Kenny versus Hangman, which is very fitting, because now as we go into Full Gear this year, we're back, and now Kenny is the world champion, and he's facing Hangman. As As we saw last year, Kenny won the Eliminator tournament and ended up winning the title from Jon Moxley. So Hangman versus Omega is happening at Full Gear. One would think this has to be the time that Omega drops the championship, right? Hangman Page, for me, has to be the next world champion. There was some discussion, wasn't there, about is Bryan Danielson going to face Omega for the world championship? Is he going to build up his win-loss record and then face Omega for the world championship at Full Gear? Now looks like that isn't going to happen. I think we're probably going to see two things when it comes to Bryan Danielson, certainly. I think he might be in the World Title Eliminator Tournament, and I think he might win that, and he might face, say, Adam Cole, maybe in the final at Full Gear, and I think he'll win that, and maybe we then get Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson, maybe Hangman Page versus Adam Cole for the AEW World Championship. There's certainly options there. So there was, I think, a little bit of confusion about where does Bryan Danielson fit into that, but we know we're getting Hangman versus Omega. Hangman can't lose, I don't think. We've seen him... And this story's been so long. This story goes back to the end of 2019. That's how long this Hangman saga's been going on for. And make no mistake, it's been told really, really well. Really well. Of him distancing himself from the elites, teaming up with Omega, winning the tag team championships. Eventually they split up because they lose the titles. Kenny turns heel. He wins the World Title Eliminator Tournament by beating Hangman, wins the World Championship. Hangman has to kind of find himself, eventually confronts Kenny Omega over the summer, teams up with the Dark Order against the Elite, but loses that match. Can't have a World Championship opportunity again. Returns, wins the Casino Ladder match, and then finally faces Kenny Omega for the World Championship at Full Gear. He has to win. That's how the story goes. Obviously, they could try and extend it, and I don't know if I'd have a problem with that. I do think they run the risk, though, of having someone lose too many times or having someone been set back too many times. Eventually, they have to win. Obviously, it's like life. As you're climbing up the ladder, you will slip and you will fall down. That happens. But eventually, you have to climb to the top and grab the prize, and I think that prize will happen at Full Gear. I think that Hangman will finally win the World Championship at Full Gear, and Kenny Omega's World Championship reign will come to an end. So I'm excited for it. Heck of a main event. And if their match last year was anything to go by, I think it'll be better because obviously you've got the crowd and Hangman's just super over. Listen to that reaction he got when he returned last week. So World Championship match is happening at Full Gear and very excited to see it. Now, speaking of Tony Khan again, he spoke about Bray Wyatt. Obviously, there's been lots of rumors and reports that Bray Wyatt could be headed to AEW. Lots of reports that he could be headed to Impact Wrestling as well. Speaking to the Moose and Maggie show, Tony Khan admitted he hasn't spoken to him. He said, quote, "He's a great wrestler, and I have to be honest, we haven't talked at all. I've known him in personal life, but in reality, we haven't talked, but you never know." Again, there's been rumors that he could be going to Impact. There's been rumors he could be going to AEW. I tend to believe Tony Khan when he says, look, we haven't spoken, because previously, when deals were in place for the likes of CM Punk or Bryan Danielson, he would just go, I can't answer that question. When he's saying, he doesn't tend, put it this way, he doesn't tend to lie, does he? He will just skirt the question and not answer it. Whereas this one, when he's saying, look, I haven't actually spoken to him, I tend to believe that, unless he's being economical with the truth in the sense that I haven't spoken to him, but maybe he's spoken to his representatives or he's spoken to intermediaries. That's very possible as well. Because remember, he said when it came to like Bryan Danielson or CM Punk, he hadn't actually met with either of them until they showed up at the arena. He'd been texting and calling, all that kind of stuff. So he had spoken to them, but he hadn't met them. So maybe he's being economical with the truth. That's what they say, right? The best lies is when they're based in reality or they're based in truth. Maybe he hasn't spoken to Bray Wyatt. Maybe he's spoken to his agent, though, or his representatives. That's a real possibility, too. I still think, I've said this in the Impact videos, that I think Bray Wyatt will come in to Impact Wrestling, into AEW rather. I think that's a likely destination, but who knows? Who knows? His 90-day non-compete clause is up on Friday, October 29 at the end of the month. So we're talking, 15 days, 2 weeks? We're going to find out very soon where Bray Wyatt's going to head, where he's going to end up, and I'm excited to see it. I'm very excited, because I don't think it's easy to call. I really don't. Now, CM Punk has also been doing a lot of media and interviews. He's been talking a lot, hasn't he, recently? And during an interview, with the Rich Eisen show, he spoke about New Japan Pro Wrestling. Obviously, with Punk being back in professional wrestling and in AEW, there's a possibility he could go through the forbidden door like many other AEW talents and compete in New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is what he had to say when it comes to facing talents like Okada, Tanahashi, Naito, of course. He said, quote, "I'm for sure both feet in AEW, but I know a lot of New Japan guys wind up coming over and wrestling on AEW Dynamite and Rampage, and I'm not adverse to the idea, but I know they're in the throes of their G1 tournament and stuff like that, so I don't know if they can spare the guys, and I think because of the pandemic, you still don't see a whole lot of travel from America to Japan. I definitely think you'd have to do a 2-week quarantine once you get to Japan, and I just don't think that's a viable option at this point. I'd go to do that when I take acting gigs, and that's hard enough. So then to be in Japan for 2 weeks to sit in a hotel, I'd probably lose my mind. I'm for sure interested. You said Okada, and I think that's a guy I would definitely be interested in getting in the ring with because, again, gone for 7 years, the rise of everybody who's become a superstar in my absence. I definitely want to get back in the ring with him. He's probably the number one guy over there. So CM Punk versus Okada, that is money. That is money. That is a money match. Whether that happens in AEW or that happens in New Japan at a Wrestle Kingdom, that can easily be the main event of a Wrestle Kingdom show in the Tokyo Dome. Obviously, it can. Now, like Punk said, is that going to happen anytime soon? No, I don't think so because, like he said, the quarantine. If things change, when things change, it becomes more of a possibility. And I, like everyone else, am front and center and I want to see it. Will it happen anytime soon? Unless Okada comes over to America, I don't really see that happening. But again, I feel like that's a show worthy of a dome. That's a show worthy of a dome. Finally, Scorpio Sky has confirmed that he has signed a new 5-year contract extension. During a recent interview with PW Insider, Scorpio Sky discussed the growth of All Elite Wrestling that is seen under the helm of Tony Khan. He also revealed that he has signed a new 5-year contract extension. Back in September, of course, it was announced during the All Out Buy-In show that Scorpio Sky had signed a new deal with AEW for 5 years. If anyone wondering if it was legitimate or not, Sky shed some light on the situation. He said, quote, "I signed the deal right around the time of the pay-per-view. I'm happy to be with AEW for at least 5 more years." So Scorpio Sky is not going anywhere. Not that you would think otherwise, but Scorpio Sky is sticking around. And who knows? Sky's the limit for him. Pun intended. But look, guys, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on all of these AEW news stories you've spoken about today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, WWE, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved with the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube. Get the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or have you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.